Hi, Brian Crombie here. You know what? I've actually been blessed during this time of COVID-19 and self-isolation to have a radio show on Sauga 960 AM every night at 6 o'clock, and it's streamed online at www.sauga960am.ca. And I get to have video casts and podcasts that I put on my website, briancrombie.com, that you can access if you want. But what has been fascinating is I have had the privilege of interviewing a ton of fascinating individuals. And those of you that have ever met me and know me know that I love to get to know people, love to interview people, love to ask them questions and understand what makes them tick. And so it really has been a pleasure for me for the last 6 weeks and for the 6 months before that to have this radio show every night, 6 o'clock. And I've just been honored at the people that I've interviewed. And this week is no difference because Monday I interview Jennifer Keesmaat, who's the former chief planner for the City of Toronto, former mayoralty candidate. And we have a really interesting talk about how she thinks COVID-19, social distancing is going to change cities, going to change transit, going to change the way we live and the way we work. And I think Jennifer Keesmaat is one of the top thinkers from an urban standpoint in Canada, if not, frankly, around the world. And it's a pleasure to chat with her again. Tuesday night, 6 o'clock, I tell you, one of the most interesting gentlemen I've ever met. I can't remember how to pronounce his name, so let me try. Dr. Eleftherios Diamandis, and he's a laboratory and pathobiology biochemist at Mount Sinai Health System. He's been working for the last 35 years on cancer and stopped that a couple months ago and started focusing on COVID-19. And this is a professor at U of T, a very involved clinical researcher, and he has come to the opinion that a vaccine is going to take too long, and what we need to do is create herd immunity, and creating it naturally is the wrong way to go. So that what we got to do is we got to do it through a clinical trial of healthy volunteers that volunteer to be self-infected with the COVID-19 virus, and they would be in a hospital, they would get clinical care, they would recuperate, hopefully, and then they're immune. And he believes that that immunity is going to be more powerful than the immunity that one would even get from a vaccine. So, fascinating interview. On Wednesday, I've got Josh Colle, who is Senior Vice President of Infrastructure at ENY now, but he was a city councillor in the City of Toronto Council, and more importantly, he was chairman of the Toronto Transit Commission. And we have a really good conversation about the impact of COVID-19 on transit, how they're going to reopen, what the challenges they're going to have, what the short-term and long-term changes in transit is going to be. Thursday, I've got a really interesting conversation with a gentleman by the name of Martin Kabat, who is the former CEO of the Canadian Cancer Society, a really smart guy who studied leadership. And he's been in corporate life, he's been in not-for-profit life, and he's been in charitable work, and he's been in academic work, and he's studied leadership, and he studies and he compares some interesting people and Donald Trump. And it is a fascinating review of history of leadership through the ages. He talks about Genghis Khan, he talks about Aristotle, he talks about numerous people in history, and he talks about some modern leaders, both negative and positive, and it's a fascinating conversation. And then to go to the artists vein on Friday, I got two really interesting artists. The first one is a guy by the name of KLASSY, who is a hip-hop artist, and he is a gay hip-hop artist, and he is one of the only gay hip-hop artists, and he's really challenging the homophobia in that genre, and he's got a fascinating story, and he's got some fascinating music, and so KLASSY is interesting to listen to. And then Anna George, a young lady who I met who was a banker on Wall Street, and then went to a fortune teller that said that you need to live your creative side, and an actress was her future, and she gave up being a well-paid private equity banker on Wall Street to become an actress in India and in Canada and in the United States. And she's got a fascinating review of both life in Manhattan today under COVID-19, and then also what it would be like to give up being a banker and become an actress. Anyway, that's the Brian Crombie Radio Show every night this week at 6 o'clock on Sauga 960 AM, 960 AM on your dial, or you can stream it online at www.sauga960am.ca. Or if you miss that, you can always get my podcasts and my video casts, because most of them I do as video, on my website, briancrombie.com, and either choose the podcasts or choose videos and look up some of these people, because Jennifer Keesmaat, Josh Colle, really interesting urban thinkers, Martin Kabat, an expert on leadership, KLASSY and Anna George, interesting people, but then this doctor, just fascinating review of COVID-19, what the challenges are, how he thinks we should be treating it, and what the solutions are. And, you know, fascinating people that I get to meet, and you get to meet as well if you tune in. Hope you enjoy them. Thanks.